Hey, so in today's video, I'd like to talk to you about the 1 year anniversary of this YouTube channel. Not the blog, we got the blog here, but just the YouTube channel, this one. We'll do a blog one another time. Either way, blog's down below if you'd like to read that as well. But nevertheless, it's 1 year since the first video. First video, I actually did it right in this chair. The desk was right here, and then there was the back and all that. Of course, there's different stuff up back, but nevertheless, this is the same spot. So this is a bit of a funny way, to do it all again. But nevertheless, it's 1 year since the first video of the channel. And I apologize for the disappearance over these past few weeks, but I had to make it for the 1 year one. But either way, we're going to get better uploads going, hopefully, as long as there's no emergencies or unexpected things like another death. But nevertheless, I'm getting back in the flow. And we're starting it off with 1 year. With 1 year anniversary, if that's what you can call it. I mean, this could be an anniversary, right? So, yeah, let's call it 1 year anniversary. Why not? But either way, we're back. It's 1 year anniversary, and I'm so proud of where we've gone so far with this channel, with this whole thing. Of course, it's had its up and downs. Like, it's not perfect, but for what it is, I'm happy with this. And it's taught me so much. It's given me so much experience. So for what it is, it was absolutely worth it. Also, sorry for the crunching sounds. My dogs are playing with their toy over there. But regardless, such a wonderful journey so far. It's been great. It's been so good. And it's just taught me it's taught me 1,000 things, I won't lie. But there's one valuable, super valuable thing that it's taught me in this first 1 year. The first 1 year. And I'd like to get into it with you. I'd like to share what it is, why I also think you can benefit from it. So, let's start with a bit of a backstory to the channel, backstory to the lesson we're about to get into as well. So, starting this channel a year ago, it was an interesting idea and a feeling, right? It wasn't fully thought out. It wasn't fully planned. It was I kind of rushed into it. It was just an interesting little thing where I just took a jump. I just took a jump, and I didn't really know where I was going to land, for that matter. I kind of just went for it. And was going to see what was going to happen. But I did have a little bit of a dream and an idea in mind. I won't lie. You can't start a dream if you don't have a dream. You can't begin an idea if you don't have an idea. So I actually did have a semi-plan in mind. And it was something along the lines of being like the other YouTubers that were popular at the time. Or they still kind of are, but, the ones I was watching the most at the time. Which would be self-improvement kinds of YouTubers, kind of like Hamza. Yeah, pretty much just Hamza. I didn't really watch many other guys. It was really just him, that's the kind of thing. In fact, he kind of got me into this, so to speak. Because it was his words that pushed me to make that jump. He just said, just do it. So I figured, just do it. Why not? We'll make a bad video, and we'll just go from there. And that's precisely what I did. You go check it a year ago, and the video quality was horrible. I had a little camera, I keep it in the closet now. But I had a little camera that was not like a high quality camera. But I figured, if you got to be a YouTuber, you got to have a camera. So I recorded on a camera, thinking, the phone isn't adequate. But little did I know the camera was so pixely. But at that point, I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just upload this video, and it'll be like a benchmark, just so I could do another one. And then it was a cascade from there. And then we had video after video after video after video. Here we are today. So it was a bit of a jump, right? It wasn't that high quality. But regardless, the point is, it was kind of an image. The image I put in my mind was kind of to just be a self-improvement YouTuber, kind of like a bit of a philosopher, kind of like Hamza, like those kinds of guys. And with that, it just, as it went on in its early stages, it never really felt like me, I didn't really get there yet. I do eventually, but at the beginning, it didn't really feel like me. It felt like, I still had a good amount of stuff to say on the situations I was talking about, but it wasn't exactly my passion. It wasn't really what I was looking for. It wasn't what I expected or what I wanted. Because the thing with self-improvement kinds of YouTubers is, like, they have certain topics along the lines of stuff like, cold showers and working out, no fap, all that stuff. So, and those are still great topics. Those are still very important things to discuss. But to make it your personality is not it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. But in the early stages, I thought, if I'm going to be a YouTuber in this kind of field, I need to make topics or videos on those topics to be successful. Which isn't entirely true. I mean, of course, there is certain cases where if you make a video like that, then it will be successful. And maybe that is a good idea. And maybe that's what you really want to talk about. Like, there's cases for this. But for me, it wasn't exactly like that. I wouldn't call this my me. I wouldn't call this Jake. I wouldn't call this my style. I mostly just did it because I figured, if I want to be successful, this is what I got to do. So I'm going to get it done. But after a little bit of time, I started to figure it out. That's not for Jake. That's not for me. I started to figure out, I'm a bit of a copy of already existing guys, and I'm kind of just echoing what they say, which is still not entirely a horrible thing to do, but what is so special about my channel, and what is my passion if I'm just copying some other guy? It's like, well, why should anyone want to watch this? Why should anyone want to listen to me? What is this going to do? Why do I enjoy this? I couldn't answer any of those questions. Because why should anyone take my advice? There's reasons, of course, but I'm talking about stuff like working out and like nofap and like what does it really, like, what does it mean? I need experience in those, and I tried getting experience in those, and I made videos here and there, but it overall felt like I was trying to be a different guy. It didn't feel like Jake was being Jake. It didn't feel like the channel was my channel. It just felt like White Hamza 2.0 shittier version. So you see what I'm saying, right? It's like, it's not me. It's not me. So that was a bit of a dilemma. What can I say? It wasn't something that you'd expect when just jumping in. You think, if I do these things, I'm going to be successful. You don't think you're going to have a moral dilemma. But no matter what, we can always get over our issues. So I got over that issue, and I discovered a really, really cool idea. A really, like a better idea. Something that has not really been seen so much. I mean, it's seen on the internet a lot, but it's not something that's seen as much as what I was trying to go for. Which is just to be yourself. Just to make a channel of you. Of what you know, of what you learn. Of your life, of your experiences. Something like that. Because like I said previously, I wanted to be like a philosopher, but also like a YouTuber like Hamza or something like that. But in my early stages, I was mostly leaning towards just being like a copy of other YouTubers. Not something to really be too proud of. So well, it isn't really my later stages by this point. It's more like the mid stage. I figured out, the best thing to do would be to lean more in philosophy and lean more into Jake and lean more into that aspect rather than being a copy of self-improvement YouTubers or something like that. So I started to take that idea and kind of formulate what would a better YouTube channel be. One that leans more into philosophy, one that leans more into Jake. What do we need? We need to talk about my experiences and what I learned. But how are we going to do that? Well, I actually need to know things. I actually need to go through something, and then I need to pick it apart. I need to understand it, and then I need to formulate it and slap it into a video. So that's kind of what I did. I just started looking within, per se. It's a bit of a vague term, but we're going to get to it. Point is, I looked within, and with each new experience, I'd just ask a certain list of questions, like what does this really mean? What can I really learn from this? What's the good? What's the bad? How can we view this? What does it really mean? What's the deepest understanding? And I'm telling you, it created such a like it was such a great formula. It gave such better thoughts, ideas, philosophies, and then that led to better videos and now better blogs. And so overall, it was just great because one after the other, like every single experience that I had, I'd be able to pick it apart and find maybe something. And there's a lot of experiences in a day, right? So, you have a good chance of finding a lot of different things. So for me, that was like a gold mine because by the point the day was over, I'd have a bunch of things to review. And then I'd go over, what could I have learned from this day? What could I share? What could I do? And it was just a gold mine, I'm telling you. It was great. So it's a much better idea than, copying a self-improvement YouTuber, but being like a bit of a knockoff, So much, much better idea. And it was so good, actually, that it became noticeable how I was thinking about these things in person and online. Because, online I'd post the videos and people would talk about it, like, how can you figure that out at such a young age? And that was truly a great thing to hear. I'm very thankful people think of me that way in some cases, but it's like it was just that thought process because not everyone thinks this way. Not everyone kind of takes the time to decipher things like that. So when people would ask me online, how'd you figure this out at a young age? It was really just that. And people in person, my family, would also figure it out because I just think of things deeper, right? So they think, how'd you figure that out? Or how do you come to such a conclusion? And it's really just answering all the questions you have on a situation and then just fully understanding it. It's really just looking within and going by each experience and saying, how can I learn from this? What's the positive? What's the negative? And then going all from there. And also making sure that you stay as positive as you can. Because that's another thing too, I like to stay as positive as I can in negative situations and in positive ones, of course. But when it comes to situations like that, I try to understand them the best I can and then just be as positive as possible. Because what other way is there? So with a thought process like this, it makes the whole positive side or it makes it a ton easier. So people will start to notice. It's actually very, very noticeable. And it really got me thinking, is this an important thing in itself? Is this thought process important? As we've been discussing, you can see it's important. But at the time, I was thinking, this was just an idea. Other people must have done it. But not exactly, actually. It isn't as common as you'd think. It isn't as common for people to go that deep into situations and learn from them and understand them fully and come out positively. It isn't that common, actually. Because once again, people would notice it. And if they're noticing it, that means that something's standing out. Something's standing out. It means something's different. So it really got me thinking, what could be the exact importance of looking within? And I just found that no matter who you are or what you do, it just makes you a better person. It gives you better ideas, it gives you better thoughts, it gives you better clarity, better understanding. It just makes you a better person. Funny how it worked, right? Because I was thinking, how can I make my videos better? How can I make my lessons better, my ideas? And in that, I created a good idea and a good lesson. Or, well, I didn't create it. Someone probably created this before me. I guarantee you this much. But I kind of created it for myself on my own, sort of. Yeah, you know what I mean. I just didn't trademark it, is what I'm trying to say. Damn it. But regardless, the importance of looking within. I just found that no matter who you are and what you do, it can help you formulate everything better. It can help you think of everything better. And that is super important because everybody should be thinking about everything the best they can, right? You want to make sure that you're always positive. You want to make sure you always understand. You want to make sure you always have clarity, right? So that's important. And you don't have to be anything for this. You don't have to be a blogger. You don't have to be a YouTuber. You don't have to be a writer. You don't have to be anything for this. You just have to be a person who's willing to sit down and think and learn. You just have to be able to do that. And that's pretty simple. I mean, of course, there are going to be cases where you're not going to want to do it. But for what it is, it ain't that hard. It really isn't. You don't have to be any dedicated thing to get this done. All it takes is the will to learn. So for that, it's an almost easy thing, but we always overlook it. Always. It's because we often seek advice from people who we believe are better qualified, but we always overlook in the same step that we are sometimes the best qualified, and we are sometimes the best for advice and the best for solving the problem. We always overlook it. That's why it's so difficult, because I say it like, this is an easy process. This is an easy thing to do. But we always overlook it, which is why it's so complicated, why it's so hard. So when I say look within, once again, we're actually talking about a real thing that isn't so vague. Because look within's pretty vague. I don't mean open up a hole in your body, you'll find the answers in there. I mean, you just need to take whatever's on your mind, something, and just think about it deeply and answer each and every question and understand it fully and look at it positively. Just as a reminder, that's what we're focusing on. It's a simple process. So, as it is, you're probably not going to know what to ask at first, but it comes with practice. This is a complicated thing. It's not difficult, it's just complicated. It's simple, but it's complicated at first, So you're not going to know what to ask at first. But generally I find you need an outlet of some kind. You just need an outlet of some kind. So for me, as it was in the story, I had an outlet of a YouTube channel. So when it came to filtering my thoughts and ideas and fully understanding them, I just had to think, what does the video need to contain? What do I need to know for the video? What do I need to say? And then I'd answer all the questions. I'd get it all down on a notepad, and I'd figure it all out. And bit by bit, I'd hack at the idea, and eventually I'd just formulate the finalized thing, and I'd fully understand it. And then that would become my outlet, but also the source that I was plugging it into. A funny little dynamic. But, as I said, not everybody has this. We often overlook it. We don't always have an outlet to actually do this. That's why it's a little bit harder, because we always think, how could I figure this out? How could I give myself advice? How could I solve all these problems? This isn't to say, you think of yourself like you're useless, but you look at people like Hamza, or you look at people like Tony Robbins or Jordan Peterson, you think, these kinds of guys have good philosophies, have good ideas that benefit me. So I'm going to follow these guys. And that's it. That's it. We overlook that we can make those philosophies, that we can make the good ideas, that we can follow ourselves. Now, this isn't to say that, you brush off all those guys and you never watch anything. It's still okay to do that. But you also want to be there for yourself, because they're not always going to be there. You need to know how to deal with your problems. You need to know how to fully understand things and how to figure out a situation, how to create a philosophy, and how to make sure that you're personally satisfied. Because they won't always have the answers and they won't always be there. Keep them around, keep those sources around, but you don't have to fully rely on them. And we overlook that way, way too often. And it's amplified how we have no outlets usually. So, an outlet, as it is, can really just be anything that you talk to yourself with. It's really funny. You can have it as a prayer or meditation, a YouTube video, writing. You can even have it with a person, as a discussion. You could have it as anything. Journals are the best ones. Everybody talks about journals, but for what it is, it can literally be anything. Like with my videos, I'd figure out the idea, jot it all down, I'd get it down, I'd figure it out, and then I'd just plug it into a video. And now with the blogs like I have right now, I write down the blog. Usually they're like 1,000 words or so, so it's like it's not that hard. It takes an hour or two, but that's not that bad. So I write the blog and then I formulate the idea as I go, and then I plug it into the video as well. And that it's like a double filter, funny enough, because the video also has some formulating to do. You sometimes come up with new things, so I kind of double filter it. double outlet per se. So find something like that, you're just going to write to yourself, or in a journal, in a blog maybe. Maybe you could record YouTube videos. You could even do voice memos or something. You could do prayers. I actually do prayers and the videos and the blog, prayers and meditation. I just find that really settles it down at the end of the day. And so if there's anything I missed, or there's anything I want to look at, I can just do it in a prayer or meditation. So that works perfect. And just find some outlet. Just some outlet, or multiple outlets, It's actually pretty damn simple. As I said, the only complicated part is, what am I going to ask? What am I going to think of? But with practice, you get better at that. Trust me. All you got to do is really think, what's bothering me? Is it a negative situation that you just feel like, this is too negative? How can I get around this? How can I how can I be happy with this? Then ask yourself, what's the good? What's the bad? List them out. Do the things. How bad is it? How good is it? Do all those things. What if it's, I just don't understand it? How could this be? And then, figure out the possibilities. Figure out what led to this. How could this be? How can I learn from that? How can I stay positive? And you always stay positive with these things, because it's easy to get negative, but to be positive is much better. So stay positive at all costs, I tell you. But regardless, start with those simple questions. Start with those simple things. Whatever's bugging you. And then, as you go on, it just becomes a habit. It just becomes natural. You just start to do it yourself, and you don't even really think about it. It's actually pretty damn cool. And if you plug it into blogs and YouTube and all that, it's actually much easier, because you know what to ask, you know what to say, you know what to think about. Because I'm gonna put this out to someone, so what would they ask? What would they want to know? Well, they're gonna want to know the who, what, where, why, how. They're gonna know why this is important. You're gonna know how to stay positive on this, how to resonate the negative. There's a lot of preset questions when you're blogging or you're doing a YouTube thing. So if you want, you could also do this. I'm sure if you did, it'd be just as good as me. That's the thing. I'm not special. I'm not unique. I just have an outlet that I plug my content back into. So if you also did the same thing, like let's say you journaled and you just plugged it back into a blog, that blog would eventually grow. Of course, you're going to have to do some promotion. I'm not going to tell you it's going to grow out of thin air, but within time, it's not impossible to grow. It's just your thoughts. That's really the key. It's just your thoughts. All it is whatever comes out of your head. So if you plug that back in, isn't that simple? It's not like you're creating something that takes way too much energy, way too much time. You're just thinking. So isn't it simple to sit down, like let's say for half an hour, record a video, or maybe an hour or two, write a blog? Not exactly if you're already doing it, right? So of course it's not for everybody, but if that's what you want to do, by all means, you'll be just as good as me. You could be better. That's how it works. That's how we become special in that process, instead of being copies of self-improvement YouTubers that already exist. You know what I'm saying? Either way, it's a very complicated but simple process at the same time. And it only gets better with practice. And it's important because this is what leads to true understanding and true, say, positive resonation. Because when you look at things like this, especially in negative situations, you just always come out with a better attitude, with a better understanding, with a more positive experience. And I know this works for everyone, because there's some ideas that I've just done this for that I haven't really posted a video or a blog for. I just have it there. So if it works in that scenario and the results are always the same, I come out with a better understanding, with a better attitude, with a positive view on things, you can do it too, and you don't have to be a YouTuber or a blogger. You can if you want, but you don't have to. So I think this is important for everybody. Because no matter who we are or what we do, we all should understand things. We all should be positive about things. We should all have the tools to do that, to make our philosophies, to actually lead ourselves instead of waiting to be led. We should always have that ability. So, moral of the story is that by figuring out that my channel was shit, I made a better idea. And then I turned it into a lesson that we're using here today, which works for everybody. I don't think it was, I don't know, it wasn't shit. That's just a joke. But, you know, it wasn't great. It wasn't Jake. That's what it was. It wasn't Jake. It was just self-improvement YouTuber copy, but cheaper. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So the moral of the story. That's it right there. I made a great idea that I want to share here with you. It's a super valuable one, I'll tell you, because like I've been taught this whole journey has taught me 1,000 different things, but this one's the most valuable because it really teaches you to look within, to be yourself, to understand that you are capable of making your own philosophies. You're worthy and capable of making your own philosophies and ideas, of guiding yourself, of understanding the world around you, of staying positive, of doing all these things. You don't have to rely on everyone else. You don't have to. And you don't have to be a YouTuber. You don't have to be a blogger. You don't have to be a writer. You don't have to be any of that. You just need to be a person who's willing to sit down, take a moment, and think. And ask the good questions. And learn from an experience, whether it's positive or negative. That's truly the moral here. Spare all the story deets and all that. But regardless, that's it. So I hope this helps you a ton. Remember, it's just a simple process. You just take something, take an idea that's bugging you, and ask the questions. Ask the questions that are bugging you, whatever they may be. And preferably do it with an outlet. You know, you don't want to do all this in your head. Unless, you know, you're in the shower or meditating. You know, like quiet spaces where you won't be interrupted. So, get an outlet and do it there. Like a journal or something. And I promise you, you'll get such great results from it. In fact, that's the challenge for you today. Is I just want you to try at maybe just the end of the day today. Just take whatever's on your mind. Just do a little meditation or a prayer about it. Maybe even a journal. Whatever it may be. Just hack at it real quick. And see what comes of it. Better understanding, better attitude, both of them, more. Whatever it may be. Just see what comes of it. I'm sure it'll help you a ton. And I hope it really does. I really hope it does. Either way. This is 1 year on YouTube. Such a funny thing, huh? Such a funny thing. I didn't actually think it'd be like this. I don't know what I was thinking once again. You know, I told you the whole... We just jumped into this. So, there was no big image, per se. But regardless, I'm really proud of where I am now. This channel, it's great. It's great so far. And I plan to keep it forever. As long as I'm here. Yeah, I'm going to try a new schedule. 2 blogs and 2 videos a week. I think that's pretty good. Because I want to do some other things, and I don't want to make this my whole thing. But I think 2 blogs, 2 videos a week, pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. So I'm going to try that, and hopefully we'll keep it for years to come. Because, yeah, I want to keep this till I'm old and dead. So this is technically just the start of the channel, if you think about it. So it's funny how that works. We're celebrating such a young thing. It's like... It's going to be such an old channel. I can just picture it already. It's going to be so old. Because YouTube's only been around so long, right? So we've never seen an old channel. So let's see what this feels like when it gets older. Plan to keep it till I'm dead. However many years that may be. Either way. That's about it. I hope this video helps you a ton. This is my 1 year lesson. Give it a try. Give the challenge a try. I'm sure that it'll do so much for you. Take care, my friend.